Finland, peanut butter. Go. Go. Hi, Jay. How are you? Good, yourself? Good, thank you. I see these are like peanut butter Girl Scout cookies, and these are like Girl Scout
Yep, and it's all out on the, okay, yep, you do it all, the only thing I do is you ask for a date and then thank you, but I still have it all laid out on the.
I went.
So you should just follow that and
How are you doing today?
Did you miss a page?
No, actually, somebody else missed the page. So.
okay, I have all this. Yeah, so I'll watch myself and I just went into the state and asked that I will.
Whoever has that, I think it's. So, even on the hotel. Whoever has water. It's closed.
So, there's California.
I agree. Yeah. But there's also an indoor fireplace. We should have been to the fireworks.
One, this is like Thin Mints, this makes us happy. This makes you look great. Here, you don't have that. It's like,
Yeah, okay, now you have your background check here, so you're good. Yeah.
But it's less than what it is now. Yeah, most people. Oh, yeah.
Well, that, yeah, we could talk to something.
I didn't like it when I first heard it, first bit on the trip. After I got the land bank discussion, big municipalities
This, they said we need to have that big public ones.
Thank you.
The only one we got through it, and you guys have that kind of scale.
heard that name.
Yeah.
All of the rest of the background. Sure, Matt.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh.
Yeah, I have to go through the plan. Maybe you can make a recommendation.
I'll do some checking.
So that then it's open to the council to decide what to do with it. Maybe we can meet with them or something.
No.
I did.
I don't think they'll understand that.
That's what we encourage people to take care of
What?
You don't have Brian.
Oh.
Hi, Sean. How are you?
So he's not coming?
Clean up this school district.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I haven't had a flu shot since I was there. Because the banker was, had somebody come around and you just went upstairs and got a flu shot. I haven't. No, maybe once.
I started when Tina was 4 and she's 32 and I've never missed a year and you know, very rarely, I think I've only ever done flu one time.
Really for you.
That caused me to swear back. Because my parents are openly and honest, I just, you know, and then there's so many different people, lots of times, so I never picked it.
John, you still want me to do CH and K then?
Same ones, yeah.
Okay, we didn't need to add any.
I waited until after Brian. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 7:00. And with the clerk call the roll, please.
Councilman Mishnick, Councilman Liptak. Here. Councilman Weisgerber,
Here.
Vice Mayor Mashburn. Here. And Mayor McGehee.
Here. Councilman Mishnick is excused due to illness, so he won't be here tonight.
As we start our meeting, let's bow our heads for prayer, please. Oh God, Creator and Lord of our city, as well as of our individual lives, we humbly acknowledge your interest in your presence at this council meeting tonight. Before we begin our business, we deliberately open our minds and spirits to your holy will. Help us to be worthy of the trust the citizens of Alliance have placed in us. Guide us in each decision we make, that it might be as fair and just as it is economically sound, to the end that our community may achieve its highest potential and become all you want it to be. Amen. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the public's reference, a copy of the open meetings law has been posted on the northeast corner of this room in the audience area. This posting complies with the requirements of the Nebraska legislature.
Tonight's consent calendar is the approval of minutes, payroll claims, and council proceedings. Resolution number 24-115, NDOT year-end street superintendent designation. Resolution number 24-116, Motorola dispatch console annual license. Resolution number 24-117, sidewalk share program. Resolution number 24-118, water radio purchase. Resolution number 24-119, landfill portable litter fencing. Resolution number 24-120, water sewer department truck purchase. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Liptak,
Yes.
Councilman Weisgerber,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mashburn,
Yes.
and Mayor McGehee.
Yes. Item B is a public hearing. Now is the date, time, and place to conduct a public hearing on the Class 1 liquor license application of DPR Wealth Management LLC, doing business as Alliance Hotel and Suites, 117 Cody Avenue. Representatives of the application have been advised to be in attendance. Resolution number 24-121 has been prepared for council's consideration and will recommend approval of the license to the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission. So at this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing. Is there anyone here? Okay, I'm sorry, the clerk, do you have any exhibits to
Just
present?
have a time of that, the public hearing.
7:03.
To council, 3 exhibits. Exhibit number 1 is the Nebraska Liquor Commission Control application from DPR Wealth Management LLC. Exhibit number 2 is the council's checklist for Nebraska State Statute 53-132. And exhibit 3 is the Alliance Police Department memorandum for the background check.
Can I ask for a motion that exhibits be received into the record?
Second.
I need a motion.
Sorry.
No.
I make a motion that the exhibits are accepted and on the record.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Weisgerber,
Yes.
Councilman Liptak,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mashburn,
Yes.
and Mayor McGehee.
Yes. Anyone here to speak on to the application?
Yes.
Okay. If you want to come forward, please.
Is this up here?
Yeah. And then anybody, chief, is anybody from the police department going to make any comment? Okay, all right,
Background check was fine.
okay, all right. You want to identify yourself first?
My name is Jay, and I'm the brother of the applicant,
Okay.
Madhukar, and so we got into the Alliance market last year.
Okay, okay, at this time, I need to,
Pledge. Okay, so,
yeah, do you swear? Okay, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, so help you God?
yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sure, so, I guess, from our point of view, so we came into Alliance last October, and I met a few people in the room already during this 30-month period, and, so we started putting money into the hotel, which needed a really, which has definitely needed a makeover for, as nothing was done on the hotel for a long time. And now that majority of the renovation has been complete, and in the last 12 months, we've taken a lot of feedback from the customers, especially BNSF, and we've switched a lot of customers, and we've been attracting a lot of international tourists as well in town, traveling through here. And one of the biggest feedback we're getting is having some liquor on site as well. And so that's what we thought we would put an application in so that we can responsibly serve alcohol to give a full package to the customers as part of the hospitality package we provide to them on the Alliance Hotel space.
Are there any questions for the gentleman?
I do have a couple.
Sure.
Are you, do you reside here in Alliance
Yes, we do, yeah.
and you live here full-time?
I've been here for the last 13 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess this is for the council. Did the former location have a liquor license?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, they did not.
They did not. Okay, and the liquor, that license that you're after, is this for your lobby, or how do you plan to keep it away from minors in the pool area?
So right now the pool is not operational yet, and we're working on the pool as we speak. And the pool should be operational by Feb or months of March, I would say. But to your point, yeah, to your question, sorry, the liquor will be served in the lobby area alone.
Okay, and can they buy, let's say they buy a six-pack of beer and go back to their room? You're okay with that?
Right now, the customers do that anyway. Like they.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they can bring it in a sack, you're correct.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay,
So we're trying to sell liquor in individual bottles rather than selling it as a six-pack or a 24-pack. We're not really trying to make people get drunk at the hotel, because that
Absolutely,
that causes nuisance as well. It's more of a responsible serving where it's for them to have a good time when they're at the hotel.
and then will they be allowed to take the liquor and go outside if it's open?
Like outside into the parking lot,
Uh-huh.
the answer would be no. So
Okay.
our restrictions would be to use the liquor inside the hotel premises,
Okay,
excluding the pool area as well.
okay,
And when we do have the pool area and when we're gonna organize events, so we're gonna use liquor more in a responsible way, even in the pool space as well.
okay.
But
And,
that will be open only for the events.
and then the staff that is at your desk, are they legal age to sell liquor? or-
Yes, they are.
Okay,
So we
Okay.
do not have any underage working in the hotel right now.
okay.
Any other questions?
I'm gonna ask,
Yeah. Please, John.
does the staff that's gonna be selling, have they taken liquor sale training at all, or?
Yes, that's part of the application.
That's all.
Is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak against the application? And Chief, you said you have no comments other than the review that you did prior to with the application. Okay, correct. Thank you. Okay.
I do have a question for the chief, I guess.
Okay. Bring this over. Yeah. Yes.
Since I've been out of the PD for a couple of years, do you have a lot of disturbances at that location, or is it a relatively well-run business facility?
I don't know that we've ever had a disturbance there since I've
Okay.
been here.
All right, that was the only question I had then.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
There's no other questions, then I'll close the public hearing at 7:10. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments, John?
No, I don't.
Okay. Any other comments from council? We have a motion to approve,
I'll make a motion to approve
or recommend the application.
the application for resolution number 24-121.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Will clerk call the roll?
Vice Mayor Mashburn,
Yes.
Councilman Weisgerber,
Yes.
Councilman Liptak,
Yes.
and Mayor McGee.
Yes. Thank you.
That's me. Ordinance number 2983, second
You
reading.
have to do the second resolution, which is 24-122.
Oh, I'm
sorry.
For the manager application,
Thank
it
you.
goes together, we
I'm
just have
sorry.
to
I
submit
didn't
the
know.
application into the state with it.
Okay, all right. You want to make a motion to approve resolution 24-122, which is a recommend approval of the manager application.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 24-112.
122.
122.
Okay, thanks.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, all right. There's a, the clerk call the roll, please.
Councilman Liptak,
Yes.
Councilman Weisgerber,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mashburn,
Yes.
and Mayor McGee.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Item C, ordinance number 2983, second reading, municipal code amendment, chapter 24 through 27, titled Snow Removal. Ordinance number 2983 is before City Council on second reading, which will amend and approve the City of Alliance Municipal Code, chapter 24 through 27, titled Snow Removal. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept ordinance number 2983.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Do we want Brent to come up and give a brief synopsis again? Mr. Kuzic? I don't want anybody to feel like we're trying to slip anything through, so let's.
I don't really have anything to add beyond what I said at the last council meeting, but a brief synopsis is this lowers the amount of time given to remove snow from 48 hours to 24 hours from the time that it stops snowing.
Okay. All right, any questions for? All right. Thanks, Brent. My clerk likes to call a roll.
Just stay, Brent, you'll be.
Yeah, we'll need
Just
you, yeah.
stay.
Okay, would you read the ordinance by title, please?
An ordinance of the City of Alliance, Nebraska, amending Alliance Municipal Code Section 24-27 to change the time for an owner or occupant to remove snow, slush, or ice from the city sidewalks adjacent to their property from 48 hours to 24 hours, repealing existing provisions of the city code not consistent with this ordinance and providing for an effective date.
Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Councilman Weisgerber,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mashburn,
Yes.
Councilman Liptak,
Yes.
and Mayor McGeehee.
Yes. Question?
Oh, sorry. Next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2984 on second reading. Municipal Code Amendment, Chapter 20, titled Nuances. Nuisance, sorry. Ordinance number 2984 is before City Council on second reading, which will amend and approve the City of Alliance Municipal Code, Chapter 20, entitled Nuisance. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve ordinance number 2984.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Quick explanation of the ordinance, please.
So this one has several amendments to it. The first one is that it adds a saving clause to the beginning of the chapter, so that if any of the section numbers change, whatever nuisance is covered by that section doesn't automatically become conforming. It changes the hang tag requirements. It requires that the section being violated be put on the hang tag if one is being left, and that the owner has 5 days to contact the city. The notification section is changed to reflect the fact that not very many people read the newspaper anymore, so it takes that out as one of the requirements that we have to do. It leaves in place serving the person by hand or certified mail, or posting the property. For some reason, there was a requirement, regardless of when you mailed it, to wait 14 days. This removes that requirement. It's just until we get the receipt back. The Sixth Amendment is, it moves the sentencing and suspended sentencing to the beginning part of the chapter where the rest of the procedural stuff is at. It was kind of just off by itself in the junk and litter part, but it's applicable to all of them, so it puts it in the correct place. The seventh is in regards to tree branches in the street intersection vision triangle. The intent of the code was that this applied to the vision intersection on private property, but it wasn't placed in the code correctly, so this fixes that. Final amendments add a section detailing the intention of the code to regulate junk and litter. Right now it says the police department will have to take care of that. This just changes it to the city manager or designate. So,
Where are we for enforcement?
we don't have anybody, he resigned, so.
Even if it's turned in and we have to wait to enforce the
depending on what it is, I'm trying to take care of the ones that I can. So it just depends on what it is.
Right. But I mean, after you do your write the citation, do you write citations?
Community development cannot write citations.
Any other questions? All right, will the clerk read the ordinance by title, please?
Ordinance number 2984, an ordinance of the City of Alliance, Nebraska, creating Alliance Municipal Code Sections 20-6 to provide for a savings clause for prior ordinances relating to existing nuisance violations, amending code sections relating to notices of nuisance abatement, Board of Health, proceedings for nuisance violation appeals, abatement periods, consequences for failure to abate nuisances, site vision requirements for tree branches, and the intent of code sections regarding nuisance abatement, renumbering prior code sections, repealing existing provisions of the city code not consistent with this ordinance, and providing for an effective date.
Clerk call the roll, please.
Councilman Liptak,
Yes.
Councilman Weisgerber,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mashburn,
Yes.
and Mayor McGehee.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2985, second reading, Municipal Code Amendment, Chapter 24-2 and 24-42, title, Prohibited Activities and Illegal Obstruction. Ordinance number 2985 is before City Council on a second reading, which will amend and approve the City of Alliance Municipal Code, Chapter 24-2 and 24-42, titled Prohibited Activities and Illegal Obstruction. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2985 on its second reading.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. Brief description here.
So, a lot of people aren't aware, but from the sidewalk to the back of the curb and gutter is called a curb strip. It's technically city property. The state of Nebraska has statutes that allow the city to adopt a code that allows it to enforce its nuisance abatement code in the city rights of way as if it were on private property. But we have to adopt the code to do that. So this does that, and it also fixes what I think is a misstatement in the current version of the code, which the way it's worded basically makes it illegal to grow anything, including grass in the parkway. So we're pretty strict. It fixes both of those issues.
Any questions for Mr. Creasy? Will the clerk read the ordinance by title, please?
Ordinance number 2985, an ordinance of the City of Alliance, Nebraska, amending Alliance Municipal Code Sections 24-2 and 24-42, defining nuisances in the public right of way, providing that abating nuisances in the public right of way is the responsibility of the adjacent property owner, and defining illegal obstructions of the curb strip, repealing existing provisions of the city code not consistent with this ordinance, and providing for an effective date.
Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Councilman Weisgerber,
Yes.
Councilman Liptak,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mashburn,
Yes.
and Mayor McGehee.
Yes. Okay. Item F is a public hearing on a municipal code amendment, chapter 111-162, titled Additional Requirements. Now is the date, time, and place to conduct a public hearing on the amendment to the City of Alliance Municipal Code, chapter 111-162, titled Additional Requirements. I will call it, public hearing is 7:20. And Mr. Creasy, give us a brief description, please.
I am for the adoption of this ordinance. Just tap that on the record. So what this does is it requires that modular and pre-manufactured houses outside of mobile home parks be constructed on permanent perimeter foundation in accordance with the building code. The city used to be able to rely on insurance companies and lenders to require that for us, but with the housing market the way it is, they've since been able to find lenders and insurers that no longer require that. So this just adds that requirement. Technically, it is already something that is required by the municipal or by the building code outside of mobile home parks. It's in mobile home parks, and the federal government kind of dictates how stuff is built or constructed there. outside of mobile home parks, it's our building code. We just want that to be stated clearly in our code.
Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of the amendment? Is there anyone here who would like to speak against the amendment? Council, any questions for Mr. Cruz or any comments? Okay, I'll close the public hearing at 7:22. And ordinance 2986 is now before council on second reading, which will amend and approve the City of Alliance Municipal Code, Chapter 111-162, titled Additional Requirements. I make a motion that we approve ordinance 2986 on second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. With clerk read the ordinance by title, please.
Ordinance number 2986, an ordinance of the City of Alliance, Nebraska, amending Alliance Municipal Code Sections 111-162 to require that manufactured homes be placed upon a basement or permanent perimeter foundation, complying with the city's building code, repealing existing provisions of the city code not consistent with the ordinance and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Councilman Lictak,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mashburn,
Yes.
Councilman Weisgerber,
Yes.
and Mayor McGehee.
Yes. Item G is a public hearing on ordinance 2987, the municipal code amendment, chapter 107-81, 107-86, and 107-102, titled Application and Filing, City Council Approval and Application and Review. Now is the date, time, and place to conduct a public hearing for the amendment to the City of Alliance Municipal Code, chapter 107-81, 107-86, and 107-102, titled Application and Filing, City Council Approval and Application and Review. I'll call the public hearing at 7:23. Mr. Cruz?
I am in favor of this one as well. So what this does is this adds 24-pound paper, which is a pretty heavy paper, as a suitable medium for final plats to be printed on. Final plats are those which are filed at the courthouse for until either the plat is vacated or forever. We're told by a local surveyor that Mylar, which is our current media for final plats, depending on the type of ink that's used, in 20, 30, maybe 40 years, that ink breaks down, and when you pull them out of the cabinet, sometimes they're completely blank. So this adds paper back as a suitable way to file that. The picture that's on your narrative is the original plat of Alliance, which was on in 1888, and it still looks like it was when it was brand new, other than the paper's a little more ragged. And it also requires that if Mylar is going to be used, that it has to be done on a laserjet printer, which more or less etches or burns the ink into the Mylar, so it fades a lot less.
Is there anyone else who wants to speak in favor of the amendment? Anyone opposed who would want to speak against the amendment? Okay, council, will the clerk read the ordinance by title, please?
We need to close the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry, we'll close the public hearing at 7:25. Thank you. Now, would you read the ordinance by title, please?
I have to have a motion for it.
Oh, gosh. All right.
I'll make the motion to approve ordinance number 2987
On second reading.
on second reading.
A second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Now, would you read the ordinance by title, please? I'll get this right eventually.
Ordinance number 2987, an ordinance of the City of Alliance, Nebraska, amending Alliance Municipal Code Sections 107-81, 107-86, and 107-102 to allow the use of 24-pound paper for the recordable final plat of subdivisions, repealing existing provisions of the city code not consistent with this ordinance and providing for an effective date.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Weisgerber,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mashburn,
Yes.
Councilman Liptak,
Yes.
and Mayor McGehee.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2988, first reading, chapter 2650, titled One-Way Alleys. Ordinance number 2988 is before City Council on final reading, which will amend and approve the city.
First reading.
No, it's. We'll approve this, okay, on first reading, which will, I'm sorry,
That's right.
that's what, did you say it's second or first?
It's
Why don't we do a reading one? First reading, which will amend and approve the City of Alliance Municipal Code number 2650, titled One-Way Alleys. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 2988, first reading.
Okay. There's a motion.
I second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Did you come to speak about it?
Yeah.
Okay. Just state your name and address, please.
Rich Otto, Alliance Nebraska, 1203 Black Street Avenue, at an office at 423 Black Street Avenue, and also the building behind it. So, I guess,
Rich, you might need to speak up just a little.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
do I need to repeat?
JD, you're okay? Okay. Good, all right. We're good.
So I guess, help me understand a little bit about the one-way alleys. Is it for or against? A little bit more, I was being aware of this on Sunday,
Okay.
as a downtown business owner of the one-way alleys, and just for awareness for city council. And I think about just the post office, they park their semi right there, and you can't go proper direction sometimes because the semi is there. I took a picture of that on Sunday just to make for awareness. So I guess I don't really understand what this actual proposal is for. Just to make sure that would be helpful.
So this will change it from a one-way alley to be able to go both ways.
For all alleys?
Just this alley, just between Fourth and Fifth, is that correct?
Yeah, Ross is here, he can get an overview.
If you want me to speak, I sure can.
Yeah.
No.
Rich, just, if you want him to.
And I approve it, and I guess it's just partially because the post office parks are semis, and a lot of times you can't go that direction, so.
Yeah,
that's-
One of your neighbors on the other side brought it to our attention, so.
Brought to my attention on Sunday, I wasn't aware, so thank you.
Okay, all right, very good. Ross, did you want to say anything?
Nothing to add.
Okay, all right. Any other discussion with council? Would the clerk read the ordinance by title, please?
Ordinance number 2988, an ordinance of the City of Alliance, Nebraska, amending Alliance Municipal Code Sections 26-50 to remove the one-way designation of the alley between Niobrara Avenue and Boxview Avenue from 4th Street to 5th Street, repealing existing provisions of the city code not consistent with this ordinance and providing for an effective date.
Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Mashburn,
Yes.
Councilman Lidthack,
Yes.
Councilman Weisgerber,
Yes.
and Mayor McGee.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is ordinance 2989 on first reading, which will amend and approve the City of Alliance Municipal Code, Chapter 26-56, titled Trucks. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve ordinance 2989 on first reading.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Is there, Seth, anyone to speak to this?
Let's break it up a little bit so I know what you're talking about, trucks.
Yeah.
That's fine. I mean, I know what a truck is.
We'll get a better explanation. I want everybody to understand what's going on.
So there have been intermittent complaints about trucks, large trucks, semis, on prohibited streets in Alliance, because we have certain streets and trucks are allowed on, and certain streets and trucks are, most of our streets are not allowed on. And after reviewing the ordinance, one of the officers brought it to my attention that he felt the ordinance was too vague to enforce and left too many loopholes for truck drivers to be on streets that they shouldn't be on. Talked to Mr. Seltzer about that, he agreed, and so we simply removed, I believe it used to be item number 5, which basically said that a truck could be on a prohibited street for any legitimate business purpose. We just thought that was way too vague and gave them too easy of an out to be on a street that they shouldn't be driving on. So this will, removing that section will allow us to enforce this ordinance more reliably.
What about moving trucks?
I'm sorry.
Moving trucks? That that big one down there on Boxview? That's up there in front of the former city manager's house, across from middle school?
So I've been there, what, 2 days?
I haven't noticed it, to be honest with you.
But is it illegal, is it gonna be one of those you can't drive moving trucks? into some
Is it a
location?
moving truck that was legitimately moving someone? Right,
That
well,
would be allowed.
yeah, that would be allowed, that should be.
Even on the streets that aren't allowed right now?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's already exceptions in the ordinance.
Right. You
and
just
the-
wouldn't remove the one that was way too big.
Right, the problem was there's a catch-all basically saying there's these exceptions, 1 through 4, and then there was 5 that basically said any other purpose, and so. Which would make the ordinance, in our opinion, it would be very, very hard to enforce unless somebody just said, well, I don't have any purpose to be here.
And what-
So it's just,
Yeah, one of the exceptions is to pick up or deliver articles of merchandise or commodities at a location within the city not otherwise prohibited. So, and that's the catch-all for a moving truck. Or a delivery truck like Amazon or UPS or FedEx or whatever, same type of thing. That'd still be allowed to be on those streets. That, the fair statement being absolutely. Any other questions then?
I have a question for Ross on this. Ross, is this you?
No, this is not, but I can try to answer a question.
Go for it.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
So when I'm looking down this list here, am I missing something? Is 10th Street between Flack and the highway? Is it trucks are off limits?
I'm not sure, but I think that is listed in the ordinance, correct?
Well, I think I'm missing it. City manager, am I missing
As a dedicated truck route?
it? As trucks cannot be on 10th Street between Flack and the highway.
Unless they meet one of the exceptions
Because it's,
outlined later in the section.
These are the designated truck routes.
and I don't see it. Oh, I'm sorry, Teresa, thank you for clarifying. Now I was missing that, part of that. Okay, all right, great. That was my question.
All right.
I misread it, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions regarding this change? Okay. Will the clerk read the ordinance by title, please?
Ordinance number 2989, an ordinance of the City of Alliance, Nebraska, amending Alliance Municipal Code Section 25-56 to remove subsection C5 that allow trucks on restricted streets for legitimate business purposes not otherwise enumerated, repealing existing provisions of the city code not consistent with this ordinance and providing for an effective date.
Okay, will the clerk call the roll, please?
Councilman Weisgerber,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mashburn,
Yes.
Councilman Liptak,
Yes.
and Mayor McGee.
Yes. This is yours, Tina.
Ordinance number 2990 on the first reading, chapter 26-127 titled Restricted Parking. Ordinance number 2990 is before City Council on first reading, which will amend and approve the City of Alliance Municipal Code, chapter 26-127 titled Restricted Parking.
You gonna make a motion?
Yes, I am. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2990 on the first reading.
Okay, thank you.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Who do you want to handle the rest of this? So,
Whoever's willing to tackle it.
okay,
Ross has a good shoulder right now.
all
I
right.
wrote it, I guess. Would you like a brief description?
Sure.
Okay, so there was 3 separate items, the handicap park we dealt with previously. So there's 2 items on here currently. One is the restricted parking request in front of the Lyceum, which is 900 block of Bighorn. And the other is the restricted parking request or police-only parking request in front of the annex building on Niobrara. So those are the 2 separate restricted parking requests in the narrative.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Any questions or discussion?
What part of that, Brad?
Right there in the annex building.
Yeah, I'm looking at the address here. It's
511.
511 Niobrara.
So on the west side?
On the east side. So it's the blue annex building across
Right.
the street from, so right in front of that building.
So not in front of, Web Bike here.
Correct. It would be only in front of the property, the 50-foot lot at 511 Niobrara, which is the annex building.
And why are we restricting it there?
It was requested by the police department.
But I mean, why is that we're restricting it?
That would be the entire reason for the request.
Chief, you want to speak to that?
Sure.
We are requesting to restrict the parking just in front of our property at the annex, so that the folks who work in the annex building can park in front of the annex building.
But there's 4 lots behind the annex building, so why do you need to park in front of the annex building on the public street?
I'm aware of that, but, well, there's a couple reasons. As you know, there is not keyed access on the back door. Also, we don't pay for snow removal out there, so when it's all snowy back there, that's not gonna be convenient. And since, unlike the fire chief, I don't have an indoor climate controlled parking spot, it would be nice to have my vehicle in close proximity if there's an emergency and I need to leave. It's just a small section of property from the driveway to the end of our property line, so that we can park, those of us who work in that building can park in front of the building. Very similar to why I insisted on finding a house that had a garage, so that if I had to get out quickly in the middle of the night, I didn't have to scrape ice and snow. For the same reason, I'd like to be able to park in front of the annex if I have to leave quickly. That's the only reason.
I understand, I'm not comfortable with it because there's already so much restriction around the courthouse that's why when the city bought the building, they put 4 parking slots behind it for the staff to park there and not take away from the public's access to the law enforcement building. Because if you're coming to the law enforcement building, you're not allowed to park in the police county parking lot. And there's a city parking lot a block south of the annex building to the, on the same side of the street.
Right.
So I understand the convenience for the chief of police, but what I'm looking at is that I think it's taking away from the citizens that are trying to get into the police department or the county building to see the sheriff, because that's.
To be clear, I park there every single day.
Right.
99.9% of the time, the spot's available. I was just trying to make sure the spots were available.
Right, I understand your request.
Where we don't, where it's not cleared for parking and you get 6 inches of snow, and I would rather make sure that, I'd rather make sure that my chief can get out and get to an emergency and not be stuck trying to get out when you don't plow that, when nobody maintains that,
Well,
or when it rains in the springtime.
I know, but I think the city could do snow removal in the back like they do for all other city buildings, and that way they could get out.
Is
So,
it gravel or cement
it's cement,
in the
Yeah.
back?
yes.
And we've already cut our budget. And we're asking them to add one more thing with less amount of resources. I don't think it's fair to do that. The idea of changing the parking on Bighorn Avenue so people can park in front of a business, so it's convenient for them. I think our chief and anybody that works in the annex that may need, as a matter of public safety, to respond, they need to be able to get out and get out quickly.
Well, we do snow removal in the parking lot of the police department, which is cleared as a priority, which would mean that a car parked there could also get out in a snowstorm. So I understand what he's asking for, but where my difficulty is, I think, is we're not looking out for the citizens by doing this.
I think we are, as a matter of public safety, and being able to have them respond and respond quickly without possible reasons not to be able to get
The
out.
chief of police could have access to an office in the main building during the winter, is that right?
Where? Have you been in it?
I worked there for 21 years, Tears. I know all about the buildings.
I know, and I've been in there, and we have how many sergeants
Okay, girls.
share an office, I don't think that's a viable one.
Well, I'm just,
Let me just say, I respect the decision of the council. I park there every day regardless.
right,
Every once in a while, someone leaves the car there overnight or something unusual happens and there's cars blocking it. 99% of the time, it's not an issue. Signs or no sign, I will most likely park there every day. So I respect the decision of the council. If you wish to deny it, that is obviously well within your purview, and I will respect your decision.
Any other questions,
Nope.
comments? All right.
How do you make a motion to pull G out? Because for parking at 903 Bighorn Avenue, I don't think, because I reviewed all of our reasons for restricted parking, and they fall into basically three categories. Public safety, which I feel the chief's falls into.
But the senior citizens that they want to park in front of the Lyceum, no?
But, what did they, hold on, I lost my sheet. Thank you. They fall into three categories: public safety, flow of traffic, which can also be considered public safety, and use of business district. I don't feel the request for the Lyceum or the collection basket falls into any of these and should be denied. They are a private business in a residential location. A precedence could be set for other private businesses, whether they are home daycares, seamstress, leather workers, tax preparers working from their home, to request parking accommodations for their customers. Another reason to consider denial is the cost to the city. It is small in the grand scheme of things, but has the potential to become large if others follow suit. And I do not believe letting citizens buy and install signs is a good idea either. And the cost for the sign, depending on obviously what it is $169 per sign. And I don't believe that because it doesn't fall into one of the three reasons that all of our other restrictions fall into, that it should be approved.
Okay, so there's a motion to amend to remove item G. Is there a second?
You want me to read out and
can we vote on them separately then? Is that the plan?
we have to get a second on it.
Yeah. Either you get a second or the motion dies for lack of a second.
So are you talking not G though, right? You're talking J?
G. So Tirza is asking to amend the request to remove the designated parking in front of the Lyceum. Not hearing a second, the motion dies. So we have before us the original amendment. Any other questions or comments? Anyone? Will clerk read the ordinance by title, please?
Ordinance number 2990, an ordinance of the City of Alliance, Nebraska, amending Alliance Municipal Code Sections 26-127 to restrict parking on the east side of the street in front of the property at 903 Bighorn Avenue for longer than 1/2 hour during the hours of 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Mondays and Tuesdays, and restricting parking in front of 511 Niobrara Avenue as police parking only, repealing existing provisions of the city code not consistent with this ordinance and providing for an effective date.
Will clerk call the roll?
Councilman Lichtak,
Well, I'm confused then, Mayor. If I vote to have the parking restricted by the,
You're voting on the full request, and
Okay.
adding the restricted parking in front of the Lyceum and the restricted parking in front of the annex building, the police department annex building. That's what we're really doing.
so if we would have allowed Tirza to take hers out, we could have voted on just one or the other. Is that right?
Yeah, just on the one, because we would have taken out the request for in front of the Lyceum.
Lyceum.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm not in favor of the police department parking, but the way this is bundled up, I have no choice, so I'm in
favor of one and not the other, so maybe we should go back and do this right so that we could have had an up or down vote.
This is
on
only
this.
first reading, too.
All right.
Keep that in mind, too.
All right,
So,
then I'm good, go ahead.
Councilman Liptak,
No.
Councilman Mashburn, Vice Mayor Mashburn,
No.
Councilman Weisgerber,
Yes?
and Mayor McGehee.
yes.
Now what?
So we don't have a majority.
So it didn't pass on first reading, so we can bring back each, request separate votes. And then those can be voted on separately.
Is it? All right. You're up, Jake.
Oh, jeez. Item K, ordinance number 2991, first reading, chapter 26-131, 26-132, titled Trailer and Recreational Vehicle Storage and Continuous Parking. Ordinance number 2991 is before City Council on first reading, which will amend and approve the City of Alliance Municipal Code 29-131, 29-132, titled Trailer and Recreational Vehicle Storage and, oh, that's all. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve, item K. Ordinance number 2991, I was looking to see if we had first or second reading.
Thank you. We have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on ordinance number 2991. Chief?
I'm taking this as my opportunity to redeem myself. So, we have what I would consider a major problem with illegal parking of campers, trailers, boats, and any other object that you can possibly tow behind a vehicle in this town. And we have an ordinance that's almost impossible to enforce currently because we have a 72-hour window where we allow people to basically park those trailers, campers, motorhomes, etc., illegally for 72 hours. And how that tends to play out with enforcement is I get back from camping on Sunday night, and 72 hours would give me until Wednesday night to leave that camper parked in the roadway, or trailer, whatever it may be. And so Thursday, we get a complaint, or the officers notice it's been there for 3 days, whatever the case may be. And the officers go and talk to the citizen, and they say, well, you know what, we're leaving tomorrow anyway. And then it just repeats itself all spring and summer long. So what this ordinance does is it reduces that 72 hours to 24 hours. So if someone is either leaving town on a camping trip or returning from a camping trip, they have a full 24 hours to pack, unpack, clean, do maintenance, whatever they need to do to that vehicle, and then go properly store it out of the right of way. The other problem with the ordinance, it was very vague. It just said you had to move it. So, exactly.
Very big.
So, move it 3 inches, you've moved it, and there it sits. If you drive through Alliance right now, you will see, not too many on the streets, because we've dealt with most of those, but you will see our curb strips are just full of trailers and campers and boats, etc. We also put, or Mr. Seltzer helped me put some very clarifying language about what exactly the public right-of-way means. It includes the street, the sidewalk, the alley, and the curb strip. And now that language has been clarified, it doesn't just say you have to move it, it says you have to completely remove it from the city's right-of-way. And it even goes a little further to say moving it a short distance or moving it and then bringing it right back does not satisfy the requirements of the ordinance. So basically, it gives us an ordinance that we can actually enforce reliably, and has a little bit of a bite to it.
Chief, I thought we had an ordinance where all campers and things had to be off the streets by October the 15th.
That would be for the winter. This is a year-round This is a year-round thing.
So in the summer, you're having this trouble, but I mean, the other day I was driving down Colorado and there's somebody with a fifth wheel parked in the driveway where the gooseneck is hanging completely over the city sidewalk.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I mean, that's not allowed, is it?
Not in the winter months, no.
Okay.
Well, not any time, but especially not in the winter months.
And then are your officers doing the code enforcement for this, or is it the code enforcement officer of the city that is vacant now?
It's us because it's in the public right of way.
Okay.
Anything that's in the public right of way is going to be us. And anything that requires a citation is going to be us. So just because it's code enforcement doesn't mean that if a citation needs to be issued, code enforcement wouldn't contact us and we would work with them to get that citation issued.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anything else?
Any other questions for Chief? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Will the clerk read the ordinance by title, please?
An ordinance of the City of Alliance, Nebraska, amending Alliance Municipal Code Sections 26-131 and 26-132 to restrict parking trailers and other vehicle apparatuses on right-of-way for longer than 24 hours to define terms used in the code section and revise conflicting code sections, repealing existing provisions of the city code not consistent with this ordinance and providing for an effective date.
Okay. Clerk call the roll.
Councilman Liptak,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mashburn,
Yes.
Councilman Weisgerber,
Me? Does that count? Yes.
and Mayor McGehee.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is board appointments. Wayne Davis has submitted an application to serve on the Alliance Planning Commission with his term ending December 31st, 2027. And Sue Williams has submitted an application to serve on the Gold Advisory Board with her term ending on December 31st, 2028. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the two board appointments of Wayne Davis and Sue Williams.
What's gold advisory?
It was supposed to be golf.
Golf advisory, okay, I wondered.
Yeah.
That made no sense, and when I was like reading. the
I thought maybe that's
video,
something new that I didn't know about.
I second.
Senior thing at the golf.
Sorry.
And it's all right to approve these together? Sure. Okay, all right. We have a motion, do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you, Stacy. All right, will the clerk call the roll, please?
Councilman Liptak,
Yes.
Councilman Weisgerber,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mashburn,
Yes.
and Mayor McGehee.
Yes. That concludes the agenda items for tonight. Thank you, everyone.